Welcome once again to a vlog. I am your host. Today, I'll be reviewing Space 220 in Epcot at the Walt Disney World Resort. Space 220 is the new space theme restaurant next to Mission Space. Let's state the obvious. Space 220 is very expensive, especially for what it is. It's a really cool restaurant for kids who love space. Like the kids around us were having a blast. One little boy was playing with his toy rocket throughout the meal and seemed to be having the time of his life. So, if you have a kid that's obsessed with space and you're okay with the price tag, then it may be worth the price of admission. I don't think I could say that for anyone else. For us, it was a one and done experience. You start by meeting your host, where you're given a ticket to the space elevator. The space elevator was probably the coolest thing about the entire experience. You go in, and it then simulates lifting off into space. You get to see Epcot and Florida as you rise, and I thought it was very cool. You do the same when you return to Earth. Once you get on board the space station, you see some simulated space veggies and some wine bottles, both of which were nice touches. The dining room was pretty cool, and I liked the screen and the scenes of the astronauts going by. However, the room was too bright to get the full effect, which causes far too much glare on the screen. I understand this was probably due to a safety issue of the dining room being too dark, but I think it was a pretty big blunder. It was still cool, but it could have been so much better. I know I've been a little harsh, so I do want to mention that the service at this restaurant was stellar. Our server took care of us and did an excellent job. I ordered my steak rare, and when I cut into the steak, it was very well done. I didn't have to say anything, the server saw the mistake and corrected it. From a service perspective, Space 220 was top notch in our experience. The food was fine, but it wasn't as stellar as the service. For the appetizer, we both got the calamari, which was lightly fried and it tasted good. The fish was fresh and the sauces were fine, if not a little plain. They gave us a very hefty portion, which was great, but I felt that while the appetizer was fine, it wasn't anything particularly special. For the main course, I got the filet mignon, which is served on a bed of mashed potatoes with carrots. As I mentioned previously, the first steak was overcooked, which I can somewhat understand to a point, just not to that extent. It can be difficult to cook a steak that thick, so I appreciated that they took another go at it without any fuss. Honestly, I didn't really want to make a fuss about it because I felt bad, so I felt relieved when the server just took care of it without me having to say anything. With all that said, the steak was not exactly worth the wait. It wasn't bad by any means, but I've had a better steak in and outside of Disney World. While thick, it wasn't exactly as juicy as I'd like. The potatoes were very home style and they were good, just not anything particularly special. While I enjoyed my steak, it wasn't well seasoned. Although I suspect that may be because that this may have been a bit rushed. The video I have is of the first steak, but the second one didn't have the same kind of marbling as the first one. While my entree wasn't bad by any means, it was all rather plain, and I didn't really have a whole lot to say about it. I may have been happy with it at a chain restaurant for less than half the price, but for what they're charging, I was expecting something a bit more. I was expecting a better quality steak and a better cook. My girlfriend had the duck, and she didn't care for her dish much either. She felt it was just too salty and a bit dry. Now, let's talk about the dessert, which I felt was the star of the show. I had the chocolate cheesecake. It's not a traditional cheesecake. It's a whipped chocolate ganache served on chocolate sauce with some white chocolate pearls and cookie crumbs with some dark chocolate sauce on top. Overall, it was fine, but was not worth the high price of admission. Space 220 has some top notch service with some very mediocre food and a neat atmosphere. So, those are just my thoughts and opinions on Space 220. We paid the standard rate just like everyone else. This video should not be considered an endorsement of the aforementioned products, and this was just based on our experiences. Your experience may be different. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you have a magical day.